A wedding so expensive, it made royal ceremonies look like backyard barbecues. 30 water taxis, 5 luxury hotels, and enough diamond sparkle to blind the paparazzi. Jeff Bezos just dropped nearly $56 million on a 3-day wedding in Venice. But here's the kicker. Behind the smiles, designer gowns, and superstar guests, this wasn't just about love. From secret prenups to celebrity chess moves, this wedding had layers. And not everything went according to plan. When Jeff Bezos throws a wedding, Venice doesn't just host it. It bends to his will. More than 30 private water taxis were reserved exclusively for guests, gliding down the canals like a billionaire's red carpet. 5 of the city's most elite hotels were fully booked out, shutting out tourists and even some VIPs who didn't make the cut. It was a clear message. This wasn't just a celebration, it was a power play. Guests didn't just show up, they arrived strategically. Leonardo DiCaprio in his usual low-key baseball cap, Tom Brady and Usher sharing a boat like it was Super Bowl Sunday on the water, and Kendall and Kylie Jenner pulling up separately from Kim, Khloe, and Kris, raising more than a few eyebrows. But at the center of it all were Bezos and Lauren, beaming like Hollywood royalty. She wore a bracelet engraved with LB, his initials, paired with 2 enormous sparklers on her ring finger. He looked just as locked in, rocking a black tux and bow tie, smiling like a man who just rebranded his life. At 61, Bezos looked less like a retired tech CEO and more like the leading man in a billionaire rom-com. And Lauren? At 54, she wasn't just the bride, she was the main character, commanding the camera with every wave, kiss, and choreographed entrance. There were whispers that the actual wedding had already happened in the U.S. weeks ago, and that this whole Venetian extravaganza was more of a flex than a formality. But when you're Jeff Bezos, reality doesn't matter as much as perception, and this wedding was curated down to the finest gold-plated detail. But as the gondolas floated and champagne poured, not everything was as flawless as it looked. Orlando Bloom arrived solo, but he didn't leave that way. Paparazzi snapped him exiting the pre-wedding bash with his arm casually draped around a woman no one recognized. She wasn't a celebrity, she wasn't on any guest list, at least not publicly. Within hours, social media had already crowned her the next tabloid mystery. But the truth, she's not just anyone. She's Jaime Mizrahi, a longtime Hollywood stylist, and more importantly, Katy Perry's personal fashion guru. And here's where things got messy. Jaime's not single. She's married. In fact, her husband was right there on the dock boarding the boat with Orlando. Still, the images sparked a frenzy. Why? Because Orlando and Katy, Hollywood's on-again, off-again power couple, are reportedly off right now. And Katy? Nowhere near Venice. Instead, she was posting sunlit selfies from a beach in Australia, ring off, hair down, laughing over cards with friends. Her daughter, Daisy, was with her. But Bloom? He was in Venice with Jaime. And whether it was just friendly or not, the internet was already putting 2 and 2 together. Then came the comment, buried under a smiling beach photo. "We miss you, Katy," Lauren Sanchez wrote, subtle and sweet. But some fans weren't buying it. The timing felt a little too polished, too public. Was Katy avoiding the wedding on purpose? Was there tension behind the scenes? And why didn't Orlando fly out with his partner and daughter, especially for something this high profile? No answers yet. But one thing is clear. Even at a billionaire's wedding, the old rules of celebrity drama still apply. And that wasn't the only guest dynamic stirring the pot. The Kardashians always make an entrance. Together. But not this time. At Bezos' wedding, Kim and Khloe arrived separately from Kendall, Kylie, and Kris. No unified glam, no family moment, just a subtle split that fans immediately clocked. Insiders blamed scheduling, but it didn't add up. This wasn't some random red carpet. This was the wedding of the year. And this family doesn't do casual. Tensions have been building behind the scenes. Rumors of brand clashes, personal distance, even a slow rebrand by Kendall away from the reality TV machine. And Khloe? She's been quieter than ever. Their separate arrivals felt more like a signal than an accident. Even Kris, usually front and center, kept a low profile. For a family that lives on attention, the silence spoke volumes, and they weren't the only power players quietly shifting positions. This guest list wasn't just impressive, It was intentional. Elton John was rumored to perform. Tom Brady and Usher arrived together like Venice was a luxury locker room. But this wasn't random star power. It was a message. Bezos wasn't surrounded by tech titans or old money CEOs. He handpicked Hollywood, fashion, and music elites, the cool crowd, the camera crowd, because this wasn't just a wedding. It was a rebrand. Bezos has gone from Amazon mastermind to global celebrity. And Lauren Sanchez? She's the bridge. Media savvy, socially plugged in, and shaping Jeff's new image in real time. This wasn't a guest list. It was a strategy. And behind the flash, something even more calculated was already signed and sealed. Jeff Bezos didn't just throw a wedding. He locked in a legacy. Sources say he and Lauren Sanchez quietly tied the knot weeks ago in the U.S., away from cameras. Why so secret? So they could lock down the prenup before the real show began in Venice. And this time, Bezos wasn't taking chances. Unlike his split from Mackenzie Scott, which cost him $38 billion and a chunk of Amazon stock, this prenup reportedly ensures Lauren gets no stake in Amazon, Blue Origin, or the Washington Post. Everything is locked up tight. And Lauren? She agreed. To some, that looked like sacrifice. To others, it was a smart trade. She might not get equity, but she just became the wife of a $190 billion man and gained influence, access, and global visibility in return. For Jeff, it wasn't just love, it was strategy. No messy headlines, no billion-dollar leaks, just a perfectly staged wedding, backed by airtight paperwork. But even with the legal armor on, this marriage raises one final question. Jeff Bezos says, life is just beginning at 54. But this didn't feel like a fresh start. It felt like a statement. From the multi-million-dollar setting to the curated guest list and locked-tight prenup, this wasn't just about two people in love. It was about image, control, and a carefully managed legacy. Lauren Sanchez went from TV anchor to the most photographed bride on earth, while Bezos morphed from buttoned-up CEO to a tuxedo-wearing icon on the canals of Venice. To the public, it looked like a fairy tale, but to those paying attention, it looked more like a brand relaunch. So, was this wedding a symbol of love, or the soft launch of Bezos 2.0? Because in a world where everything is strategic, even the I do can come with fine print.